What's up, YouTube? Today we're talking about the Micro T and batteries you can still get and modify to work on Hobbies and Hot Rods. Stay tuned. So I got the Micro T quite a while back when I got the Emax. I think I did one video on this thing, but I don't even know if I took any footage. I don't think I have any footage of me driving around. So the biggest thing was with the batteries I got from this. They were pretty old, but one was still new in the package and it was bad. I had one LiPo and one NEM battery, and neither one of them were good. So the next thing is you can't hardly find any parts for these. I had somebody comment on my old video and said you can get everything readily available on eBay, which is not the case at all. Wheels and tires pretty hard to find. A lot like micro or mini T stuff, but the batteries are discontinued, so you can't buy those anymore. And if you Google Micro T battery, you get a whole bunch of dynamites and Chinese batteries. They all say they're going to fit. And if you look up the measurements and actually take a caliper to this hole that you have to squeeze a battery into, most of them are too big. I didn't find anything that was small enough except for this one. It's an E-Fly battery. So I'll show you how I put a pigtail on there for balancing and how it can fit in here, or you can salvage a plug from a 3S battery or however big. So we'll get right to it. These are the batteries I got. I got two of these on eBay, $14 a piece, 14 and some change. You can see the part number there is EFLB1202S20. And they are only 120 milliamp hour batteries. This battery is so small though, I've seen them 150, but they were also bigger. So I don't know if you know if they make one this small someplace with more capacity than that, that would be awesome. Comment below. Because they don't last very long, but it's cool that you could even get a battery to fit in here. So, and the batteries they did sell for Losi or Team Losi at the time, the LiPo batteries would they only had 2 wires on them, so you couldn't balance them, and that kind of sucks anyway. So even if you have a regular one that does work, you can use this video to put a balancing plug on. And this is the easiest way if you have any computer parts laying around. You can take a regular old 3-prong plug like so and cut the little legs off the top of it. It usually has 2 little horn deals, one on each side there for it going into a square slot that has notches in it. So you cut those off, and then you just take your balancer board and it will fit right in there. Snugly, but it does fit in there. You can do that, or you can take a balancing plug off a battery that's no good anymore. This is an Electron Pro 3-cell, and even though this is a 2S, you can still use one of these. So if you got it, why not use it? I found that this is just about the right size to fit in there next to the battery. And here's the battery in there with a 3S balancing plug. And I found the best way is to do just like this. Put the battery in, put the plug in next to it, and then stick it through the side hole. And from this angle, solder all the wires on. That way you know you have clearance everywhere. And don't forget to put your heat shrink on. So like this one, you can see I just kind of put 2 wires together like I was wire nutting them, and then put heat shrink on it. That is the one that's just for the balancing. So it looks a lot better than this other one, but this also works. So here we have our balancing board. And I just wanted to point out that, well, it took me a couple of tries to figure this out. I don't know how many times I unsoldered and resoldered my joints because I had one wire in the wrong place. So to make life a little easier, hopefully somebody will use this. The black wire is negative, and then it goes from right to left. So number 1 would be the first pin on the right, and that would be 3.7 volts, and then 2 is 7.4, and then 3 is 11.1, and so on. So it doesn't matter which size these plugs you use for any battery, but you just have to have the ground on the first pin, not the ground. You just have to have the negative on the first pin, and if it's a 2S, you would have the first pin here that's the lower value, and the red wire would be your 7.4 volt on a 2S. So I've got this set up on the 3S plug, being I had one of these laying around, and you can see it goes in here, and this would be your negative. This would be the first cell at 3.7 volts. So you want this on the battery wire that is going to test 3.7. So the red wire is going to be in series, and it'll be 7.4 volts. So between your negative and the white one here, it is 3.7 volts. So I hope that makes sense. And then this would go in. I know the colors are not the same on this as they are the battery, so I'm trying to make this as simple as possible through video. Okay, you can see on this one, the yellow is negative, the red is the first cell, and the black going to the red on the battery would be right here. It comes out in series at 7.4 volts. So there is your balancing plug, and that's pretty much all the room you have to work with. And here's my little 3S plug, and it goes in like so. And this one is charged. Let's drive for a round. The wires do make it pretty tight to get the body on. By the way, I did put ball bearings in the wheels, and the output shafts have ball bearings now. And word of advice, don't tighten these real tight, because these little plastic nuts overhang to catch the edge of the bearing. So if you have it tight enough, it won't spin. If it doesn't spin after you tighten the nut, then you got it too tight. Same thing with the rear. If the other side doesn't spin like that, then you got your nuts too tight. This is what I normally use to charge these tiny batteries with. It's just a Futaba plug with the box, it's just a Futaba plug with the female box cut off of it. If you're like me and you got a bunch of old Futaba chargers, most of them have two of these on there, one for the receiver and one for the helicopter or plane or whatever it was. And, you know, all those batteries are gone by now, most of them. And, of course, just pushes in like so. This is what the E-Flat battery had on it originally. So you can see how it would be somewhat confusing to work on a car. And I was also going to mention there is no voltage regulator or safety switch or shut off for LiPo. There's no LiPo mode on the Micro T. So keep in mind, when it starts to slow down, just charge the battery. That's what I've been doing.